Before we tell you what was destroyed, you need to understand what was built. Because what was built was extraordinary. His name was Ottawa W. Gurley. Born on Christmas Day, 1867, to parents who had been enslaved. Raised in Arkansas, educated, ambitious, and in 1906 he moved to Tulsa, Oklahoma, a city in the middle of an oil boom where land was being bought and sold faster than anyone could keep up. Gurley purchased 40 acres of land on the north side of the city, and he made one rule. This land would only be sold to black families. In a country where black land ownership was actively discouraged, legally obstructed, and sometimes violently prevented, Gurley built a wall around 40 acres of Oklahoma and said, "This is ours." He built a rooming house on a dusty trail and named the road Greenwood Avenue. Former sharecroppers and laborers fleeing the brutal racial violence of the Deep South started arriving. They found something they had never had before, a place where black people owned the land they stood on. Within a few years, other entrepreneurs followed. J.B. Stratford, son of a former enslaved man, arrived and began buying property. The Dreamland Theater was built. Lawyers set up offices. Doctors opened surgeries. Something extraordinary was happening in Tulsa, and the world was about to find out about it. By 1921, the Greenwood District of Tulsa had become something that had never existed before in American history. Booker T. Washington visited and called it the Negro Wall Street of America. The name stuck. The world knew it as Black Wall Street. 10,000 residents, 600 black-owned businesses, 2 hospitals, because black patients were not admitted to white hospitals in Tulsa, 2 black-owned newspapers, a public library, hotels, law firms, dental surgeries, a bus line, a charter plane service, and the Dreamland Theater, 750 seats, showing the latest films to black audiences who were not permitted in white cinemas. The community had its own everything, and historians estimate that every single dollar spent in the Greenwood District circulated within the neighborhood at least 36 times before leaving it. Think about what that means. A dollar earned by a Greenwood resident, spent at a Greenwood grocery store, spent by that grocer at a Greenwood restaurant, spent by that restaurant at a Greenwood supplier, the same dollar moving through 36 different black hands before it left the community. This was not just a neighborhood, it was an economic engine. John and Lula Williams ran the Dreamland Theater and a candy shop and a garage. Simon Berry ran a bus line and a charter plane service. The community had its own doctors, its own lawyers, its own newspaper editors, its own teachers. Everything a city needs, built by black hands, owned by black families, on land that belonged to them. This was Black Wall Street. On the morning of May 30th, 1921, a 19-year-old black shoe shiner named Dick Rowland got into an elevator in the Drexel building in downtown Tulsa. The elevator was operated by a 17-year-old white woman named Sarah Page. What exactly happened in that elevator has never been established. The most likely explanation: Rowland stumbled as he entered and accidentally grabbed her arm. She screamed. Someone reported it. By the afternoon, the story had transformed beyond recognition. Tulsa's white newspaper ran the headline, "Nab Negro for attacking girl in elevator. Dick Rowland was arrested." That evening, black men, many of them veterans of the First World War, who had fought for a country that still treated them as second-class citizens, gathered at the courthouse to protect him from the lynch mob that was assembling outside. A confrontation happened. A shot was fired. Nobody knows who fired it. By midnight, the situation had spiraled beyond anyone's control. Dick Rowland was safe. The sheriff had locked him in the courthouse and refused to hand him over. Sarah Page never pressed charges. The accusation was almost certainly false. None of that mattered, because by dawn on June 1st, 1921, what was coming for Black Wall Street had nothing to do with Dick Rowland anymore. It never really did. In the early hours of June 1st, 1921, a white mob numbering in the thousands assembled on the south side of the Frisco Railroad tracks, the line that divided white Tulsa from black Tulsa. They were armed. Many of them had been officially deputized by city authorities, given badges and guns and told they were acting for the government, and then they crossed the tracks. What followed was not a riot. The Oklahoma Commission on the Tulsa Race Massacre called it what it was, a coordinated act of racial terror. Businesses were looted before they were burned. Homes were looted before they were torched. Arsonists waited for white women to fill bags with household possessions before setting the buildings on fire. Tulsa police officers were identified by eyewitnesses as actively setting fire to black homes and shooting residents as they fled. Women were chased from their homes. Some were carrying babies. And then, the planes. Biplanes flew over the Greenwood District and dropped incendiary devices onto rooftops. It was the first aerial bombing of an American city in history. The same aircraft that had been used against Germany in the First World War, a war in which black American soldiers had fought and died for their country, were now being used to bomb a black American neighborhood. The white mob blocked firefighters from entering Greenwood. In 24 hours, 35 city blocks were burned to the ground, 1,256 homes destroyed, 4 hotels, 8 churches, 2 hospitals, 2 newspapers, the Dreamland Theater, the library, everything. Between 100 and 300 people killed, mostly black. The exact number has never been established because the city destroyed the records. 6,000 black residents of Tulsa were rounded up and interned in the convention hall and the fairgrounds. Some were held for 8 days. When the fires stopped, where Black Wall Street had been, there was nothing but ash and rubble. In one day, everything O.W. Gurley had built in 15 years, gone. What the city of Tulsa did not count on was that the people of Greenwood would come back. The day after the massacre, the city voted to extend the fire code to every burned building in Greenwood, making reconstruction effectively impossible for black families. A lawyer named B.C. Franklin set up his office in a tent on the rubble of Greenwood and went to the Oklahoma Supreme Court to fight the ordinance. He won. The people of Greenwood returned. They rebuilt from Red Cross tents. From nothing, without insurance payouts, without government assistance, without reparations. They rebuilt because it was theirs, and they refused to let it be taken. By 1942, 21 years after the massacre, over 200 black businesses were operating again in Greenwood. They built it back. Against every obstacle, they built it back. But what the mob could not finish in 1921, the government finished 50 years later. In the 1930s, redlining policies made it nearly impossible for black families to secure bank loans. Greenwood's land values were systematically driven down. Then, in the 1960s and 70s, the Federal Highway Act funded a new interstate system. City planners consistently routed highways through black neighborhoods. In Tulsa, they built the highway through Greenwood. The inner dispersal loop bisected Greenwood Avenue. The rebuilt heart of Black Wall Street was cut in half by concrete and exhaust fumes. As one historian wrote, what the city could not steal in 1921, it systematically paved over 50 years later. The highway is still there. Where the Dreamland Theater once stood, a freeway runs over it today. In May 2021, exactly 100 years after the massacre, a 107-year-old woman named Viola Fletcher testified before the United States Congress. She had been 7 years old on June 1st, 1921. She had watched Black Wall Street burn from her window. She had lived with the memory for a century. She told Congress, "Our country may forget this history, but I cannot, I will not, and other survivors do not, and our descendants do not." She was seeking justice. She was seeking reparations. She was seeking an acknowledgement from her own government of what had been done. In 2001, the Tulsa Race Massacre Commission recommended reparations be paid to survivors and descendants as a moral obligation. No reparations have ever been paid. The unemployment rate for black Tulsa residents today is more than twice the rate of white residents. The black poverty rate in Tulsa is 34% compared to 13% for white residents. The economic consequences of what was done in 1921 are still being lived every day. O.W. Gurley built 40 acres of paradise from nothing. It was burned, obstructed, paved over, and erased from history for 80 years. His name was Ottawa W. Gurley. Remember it. His community was Black Wall Street. Remember it. Follow it unbroken legacy, because this is what they never taught you, and it is time you knew.